Hello everyone, welcome to the Ethos video review. Today we have a different sort of review for you. This video is entitled 1991, the Year of Stuff. And what I mean by stuff is pretty much everything that we cover here at Ethos. Whatever we review, whether it be video games or music albums or movies, over the course of making this website, I noticed that there was a lot of significant cultural and historical works made in 1991, and in this video, we'll take a look at a few of them. Not everything, but I would say some of the more important ones, and certainly some of my own personal favorites. Before I begin, though, I just wanted to thank my friend and co-founder of Ethos, RB, who came up with the name, The Year of Stuff. It just seems such an appropriate title, so kudos to RB for coming up with that one. So let's begin with the music. In the early 90s, of course, we know that the grunge movement was the big movement of the era, or otherwise known as the alternative rock, and some of the big albums came out in '91, and a lot of the three, what I consider like the three main architects of the movement were Chris Cornell, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana, and of course Pearl Jam, and they all had contributions in '91. As you see here, you have Nirvana's Nevermind, of course, that was their debut in '91. Temple of the Dog, which was Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, and the remnants of Mother Love Bone, which ended up becoming Pearl Jam, and Pearl Jam's 10 was also released the same year. So you had tremendous albums already, and then there were many others. In the pop world, you have Michael Jackson's Dangerous, probably my personal favorite album of his. And one of my favorite bands, Van Halen, came out with For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge as well. Then there were a couple of others that I didn't even realize that came out in '91, and I was just amazed at the sheer volume of great music that came out. You have Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears, and also Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusions 1 and 2, both came out the same day in September of that year. And quite possibly, arguably, the biggest album of '91 was actually Metallica's Black Album. So you can see it was a pretty significant year in music, and this is only a few. I mean, I'm sure there are others that I failed to mention, but this is a lot of really great music for the year. And of course, another topic of Ethos is video games, and '91 was certainly a big year for games. The NES was still around. Battletoads was one of the big games of the year for that. And also Laser Invasion came out that year as well. And if you ever read my review on Ethos about it, this game's just terrible. Let's just move on. Two big consoles were at war in that year, and we'll take a look at those too. So as I was saying, it was a pretty darn big year for video games in 1991, and here are the two titans of the era. We have the Sega Genesis over here, and it was released in 1989 actually, but it wasn't until 1991, in June of that year, that Sonic the Hedgehog was released, and he became the big major mascot for the system. But not to be outdone, Nintendo responded with the Super Nintendo in September of that year and released Super Mario World. So these two duked it out for many years to come, and obviously '91 was a hot year for the two of these. And why don't we just take a quick look at Sonic and Super Mario World, just to get a taste of what they're like. So here's Sonic the Hedgehog. Of course, it was because of this game that was provoked what was known, many gamers like to call the console wars, as Sonic was considered more of the quicker option, much more cooler option than Mario. But, well, you know who lost that war. Sonic seems to now appear on every Nintendo system, so clearly Nintendo won. And here's Super Mario World. Now this was released back in 1991 with the system. It was packaged in with the console. And this was previously reviewed on Ethos by my friend RB. Full written review on the website. And this is definitely one of the great Super Nintendo games. Totally utilizes the 16-bit graphics perfectly. It's an instant classic, for sure. So, as you can see, it was a pretty good year for video games. Sonic and Mario each had their own great games coming out, and the console wars were well underway. But as for film, though, there were a lot of pretty good movies that came out in 1991. Just to name a few, you have Silence of the Lambs, and Boys in the Hood was another good picture, 29th Street as well, JFK, and you had the remake of Cape Fear, came out in 91, even Child's Play 3. But you know what else came out that year? That's right, Terminator 2 came out in 1991. That's awesome. Alright, so that'll do it for the 1991 year of stuff. So you saw a lot of different things that came out in 91, and pretty interesting year. Like every other year, had its ups and downs, I'm sure. And, there's other interesting years as well, but for some reason, I seized on 91, and we found out some interesting stuff. Well, thanks for watching.